sometimes the hardest decisions are the ones where we have to make, where it's like, well, this has been working for me in so many ways. But then underneath, behind, in the back scene or deep inside, it's like, but it's not aligned. It actually isn't working for you. And it's like time to let go. Whether that's even in a relationship, not just career or something like a passion with yours. And I think it's like fear is what keeps us staying in these relationships too long. And so when we finally make that decision, holy moly, how much lighter do you feel? Right? Yes, there's
so much grief and sadness that comes around
absolutely. And that's normal.
Yeah.
Right? It's
I think
normal.
we forget to share
that.
how painful it is when we make those decisions. But then
they're so painful.
It's like I've been calling it like a tumor. It's like, but it's just an emotional, spiritual, mental tumor instead of a physical one. But it's kind of interesting. It's like, if you think of like a relationship or a career as like something not good, at first you feel a symptom. Yep. And so you're not sure what it is. And like you have intuition, but you're not sure if you like are recognizing it. So you go to like other professionals to try to figure out what it is. Then you realize what it is. Well, it's painful and scary to go through surgery to remove that tumor and then to heal from it.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
But then when it's done, you feel like a superhuman.
Hello, welcome to the Flourishing podcast. I'm your host, Rosalind Fung, transformational leadership and business coach, former psychologist, spiritual guide, and flourishing workplace trainer and facilitator. And I am so freaking excited about today's episode. She's already laughing because she's excited and spicy like me. We have Maeghen Cotterill with us. And this is actually our first time meeting. And just before we press the record button, we just found out we're basically twinning. We have so much similarities and there's lots of synchronicities already with the people that we know. We live in two different cities. She lives here in Calgary. I live in Edmonton. But we find out that we do very similar things and we're both martial artists. And so this is actually, she's like, just a little bit more of a martial artist than me, and you will find out. I'm actually going to get Maeghen to introduce herself. But I'd love to just say I'm very excited about this episode and getting to know Maeghen live here on camera, even more so in all the similarities. We're both also intuitives and healers and just... yeah, this is going to be a fun, spicy episode. Welcome, Maeghen. Please tell us more about you.
Well, I have been a lifelong martial artist for the last 36 years. I found martial arts when I was 8.
Me too.
See, we're the same human. I knew it.
Actually, I didn't find it. I was forced into it by my parents. They're like, you need to learn how to protect yourself. I was like, no. I was kicking and screaming. And then they just like, nope, too bad. You need to learn how to protect yourself. And I was so glad they did. I fell in love with it.
You were a lot more feminine than I am. And you have a lot more gentle energy than I do.
That's all inner work. That's why.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, I'm like the spiciest of Aries and I'm fire all the time.
Oh, we're going to get along fine. I'm a Leo. You're an Aries. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm an Aries. And so I did all the girl sports first and was absolutely terrible and had temper tantrums. Like in ballet class, I looked like a baby deer that was trying to walk for the first time. And I was a competitive swimmer and a synchronized swimmer as well.
Wow.
But I didn't, dance was not my jam. My coordination and agility were not awesome. Swimming was good though. I love the water. It's very calming, obviously. Fire and then water energy. Yes. So the weightlessness of it, the anti-gravity was really, really great. Only I never really fit in. So I was 5'10" in grade 6. I was lanky, uncoordinated. I never crawled as a baby, so I didn't have my depth perception. So even now as a martial artist, like I'm 44 years old, if I'm doing a technique or if I'm training or even when I competed, if I was going to punch you in the nose, I had to aim for the top of your forehead, an inch to the left and behind your head to actually hit your nose.
Oh, wow.
Board breaking was the same thing. Like my aim was off, my depth perception was off, but I was actually getting bullied every morning on the way to school at 8 years old. I was getting punched by this girl that was like walking to my bus stop. And so there was a little YMCA that I could walk to, which is like very Karate Kid kind of like based, right? And I mean, I loved that movie when I was younger. So it's actually my favorite movie of all time because I'm super cheesy that way. And it was wax on, wax off. Totally like crane kick. Come on. So I was able to walk to this like martial arts program, this karate program down at this YMCA in this concrete basement, pillars everywhere, like 2x4s. I had a really phenomenal Goju-Ryu instructor because that's what I started with. And I was the only girl. And for some reason, like all the things that I was naturally bad at as a human, I was allowed to be while I was in this class. Like I could learn to be coordinated. I could learn to like channel my energy. Like I had no idea I had ADHD. Like no idea.
I have ADHD too.
There we go. Right?
Another commonality.
And I'm like, I didn't know when I was younger, so I would just get in trouble constantly for fidgeting and talking and being too much, and I still get in trouble for all those things. But at least I could have more self-awareness, and I had an ability to channel my energy when I was there.
Yes.
And I knew it kind of was becoming my thing. Like I felt the most confident doing it. So I knew if I just worked hard enough and tried hard enough that like I could maybe make something out of myself.
Right.
I'm gonna like go back a little bit because I know your intuitive background.
Yeah.
So there's been a phenomenon that people have been talking about for a very long time that I didn't know was a real thing. So I had shared it with a couple of people thinking that I was, bat crazy.
Yeah.
Turns out it's a thing. So I remember I grew up in a home that was might as well say it, like pretty abusive. I haven't publicly talked about that very often. But I remember there was all kinds of chaos and screaming and yelling and all kinds of horrible stuff happening in my house. And I used to hide in the back of my closet behind my clothes so that no one would be able to find me. And I was there and I was sobbing. And I was like, life can't be like this. And I was 8. And this woman came in and started talking to me. And this woman actually told me about what my life was going to be like literally until last year in the fall.
Wow.
She said, like, you need to stick with martial arts. You need to get your black belt. This is what you need to learn. You need to learn how to do something that you haven't seen being done. So she was showing me visuals of like a female phys ed teacher, a female police officer, someone in the military, a counselor. And then she showed like me as a martial artist and getting a black belt and running a studio. But like back in the 80s, like there was no real standalone studios. There was no female instructors. There was like, it wasn't a position that I'd ever seen before or.
Yeah. We didn't have the role models.
We didn't, no. And so she actually gave me a timeline and basically said like, wow, train until you're 18, leave as soon as you're 18. The minute you get an opportunity like to teach or have a studio or have an opportunity, like take it. She told me everything I was supposed to do.
I'm getting goosebumps, full on.
So this woman told me everything that I was supposed to do in my career, literally until fall of 2023.
Yeah.
So I knew I was supposed to be a mom. I knew I was supposed to only have one child. I knew I was only like predominantly working as I was a mom. Right. I only saw myself as single. Like this is all when I was 8.
Wow. That's a lot to take in at 8.
There's a lot to take in. And I was
your
like,
belief system is forming. Like, woo.
And I was like, who is this woman?
Mind.
Who is this woman?
Yeah.
So I shared like that this woman had talked to me and it calmed me right down. And I was like, okay. And I never forgot what she said or the visuals that I had back in that time. So we're going to cycle to last summer.
Okay.
I was, we'll say, in a very, very deep meditative thing. Journey. And I was doing, I was in a journey.
Yeah.
And in this journey, my intent was to go back and heal my child self and go back and tell her that she was safe and that she was going to be okay and that life was going to be okay. The woman that talked to me with that when I was 8 was me.
Wow. Oh, I'm getting full on goosebumps.
It was a full circle moment. Yeah. And so I actually told a friend of mine and she sent me a whole bunch of information that this is an actual phenomenon. Because time and space, when you think about quantum and you think about like how things work, I mean, this is like physics.
Yes.
It doesn't really exist and you can cross different timelines and things like that.
That's right.
So to be in a journey where I was talking to me in the same place that I was when I heard it when I was 8, knew exactly what to do up until that point and did it. I executed everything that she told me to do.
Incredible. Yeah. And now my brain's going, where were you when you were 8 and how did this woman come into your life? Was it in your dreams? Was it, you thought it was real?
I was hiding in my closet.
In your closet.
Because like my parents were screaming, my siblings were crying. There was all this chaos and I was like, I ran to my room to hide.
And that's when you.
And then I was like sitting, holding my knees in this dark back of my closet and I was sobbing. And this like this woman came into like a vision at 8.
That is so interesting because you
like
literally made this
dream.
And I've been feeling like goosebumps in my calves and in my shins
she was right
and
here
in my crown chakra.
Yeah, she was right here and she talked to me. I knew she had blonde hair and she was like this, like white like this. Like she kind of glowed like that and she was really calm. So I thought maybe it was like my grandmother that had passed away, or I thought maybe it was like a guardian angel that I had. And because I'd seen things since I was a little girl, it was normal for me. Like I saw dead people. I saw all kinds of entities when I was little. Freaked me out though.
Yeah, I imagine.
Yeah. And so I just thought maybe this was my grandmother that had passed away, or a guardian angel or something. Every time that I progressed with the things that she told me to do, I always felt very calm and felt like she was a mentor, because I didn't have those positive mentors and role models growing up.
Right.
So I listened to exactly what she said, not knowing she was me.
Wow. And so today, please share with us, what are all the degrees of black belts that you have in all the different martial arts?
I love that I just opened up 16 tabs and like completely segued somewhere else.
I follow you.
So I have a 6th degree in kickboxing. I have a 6th degree in Chau-Hoang karate. I have a black pre-ciat in Muay Thai, and I have a 2nd degree black in Olympic Taekwondo.
Incredible.
So yeah, I've been teaching for 27 years, martial artist for 36, had a studio for 27. Yeah. I've done jiu-jitsu on and off for years. I've dabbled in all kinds of other things like wrestling and Aikido, and like
so cool.
I have a red sash in Kung Fu, and I've competed in 8 different disciplines all over the world. I'm 11-time world champion.
Wow. Like, can we just take a breath? That is incredible.
Oh, thanks.
All of this, we'll say like a resume of you literally are a secret weapon. It's so funny because my clients actually call me a secret weapon. That's part of my branding. Ninja. I'm a ninja of change. But like, this is very cool. And I did play on words because I am a 2nd degree black belt in karate. And then I dabbled in, and we had a little bit of a, which I don't know if we'll get into, I'm not sure, but we'll see, stay tuned. But I left at around 24, 25 because it got very political for me. And I'm like, I didn't get into martial arts for drama and politics, and it just didn't seem fun anymore. And that left a bad taste. It was very traumatizing. And then I went into Krav Maga in 2016. And that was very cool. I really enjoyed Krav Maga.
It was really special forces. Like they're well trained, and they brought the best of several different martial arts together. So
it's like street fighting. If you're wondering, is really martial arts.
Well, it's military style self-defense. It's how they train their special forces. So it's something.
And kudos to you, because I felt like I had to basically relearn everything except for the kicks. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so different. The hand positioning, that like even opening hands, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So it was definitely such a beautiful learning process. And then I did Taekwondo with my kids for about a year just for fun, because I really wanted to be involved with them. And I want them to get into martial arts, because honestly, I think that martial arts, it's huge for what it does for our confidence and our self-esteem, and for our discipline, our focus. Like so many things when I was teaching.
Spiritual too. And it's breath work, and it's centering, and
energy
it's grounding,
management.
and it's learning social behaviors. It's finding gross motor skills. It's learning communication and vulnerability, leadership, mentorship. I mean, there's so many positive things that can come from martial arts. And I mean, I've focused on a lot of the positives for a long time, and then tried to move in the direction of only positivity without really speaking out a ton on the other side of things. But there's a reason why I wanted my credentials to be the way that they were. There was a reason why I competed so heavily. There was a reason why I did so many divisions. There was a reason why I continue to take seminars and learn. Yes. I just took an amazing knife defense seminar, Filipino martial arts.
Incredible.
From Lawrence Macraig.
Is that Kali?
And
what is that?
Kali. It's like a screama.
Yes, I've tried that too. Yeah, we brought that in.
And Lawrence Macraig hosted a tournament, as well as some seminars here in Calgary. And they're phenomenal martial artists. They are phenomenal at self-defense. They are experts at Filipino martial arts. One of them's the head of Canada. The other one travels all over the world and teaches.
Wow.
I was honored to learn from them. I continue to want to learn and train and take different seminars and learn different techniques. But the politics are really what has left a bad taste in my mouth as well. Yeah. So the reason why I opened up my own studio, the reason why I pursued my goal so much was to give people a place that was not political and to help them achieve the goals that they wanted to do and have opportunities that I didn't have, and to get treated better than how I was treated. Yes. Because some of the things that have shaped me in the martial arts community were incredibly traumatic and incredibly brutal. And So it's like the thing that traumatized me the most that was supposed to keep me the safest was actually one of the things that put me in the most harm and like almost caused me to like the mental health that I went through, like I had suicidal ideations.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
So like it has become really severe. Yeah. That's the first time I've ever actually said that publicly. So it's interesting, but I'm more confident now. Yeah. But it was the reason why I pursued becoming the Team Canada president. It was the reason why I was bringing big tournaments to Western Canada. Yeah. It's why I've done policy work. It's why I've been, on charity boards. It's why I'm a facilitator for different charities. It's why I'm part of new associations and I'm traveling all over the world and I'm, a center ref and I help to train referees and I want to change policy and I want to give back to the community because of what I'm seeing. So instead of getting angry and having it beat me down and making me quit.
You're channeling it. You're pain to purpose.
Well, it almost killed me. It almost killed me multiple times. Like it was in a very, very, very unsafe community for a long time. Yes. And so if I was able to be the lighthouse or provide
I was just going to say better, you're a light worker for sure.
And that's what I tried to do. Still, though, there is a lot of chaos within the community. There's a lot of things that I'm seeing that are incredibly disturbing. But there's also on the other side, for everything negative, there's also some super, super, super positive people and positive change coming and really good instructors and really good studios and really good implementations that are happening. And so I sort of everything sort of came to a head and I realized that I was in an abusive relationship with the martial arts community and industry last year. So I brought the World Championships to Calgary. It was super successful. It was 7 days. It brought over 26 countries.
Wow.
The opening ceremonies alone had 3,000 people.
Wow.
It was.
That's incredible.
It was incredible.
The organization for that?
Yeah, it took up 7 chiefs in Calgary.
Wow.
And we got to do an opening ceremonies that had Filipino martial arts, Chinese martial arts,
that is so cool.
Japanese martial arts. We had indigenous dancers and singers. We had a white hat. Wow. We had a policymaker who was a professor of Mount Royal. This was all part of our opening ceremonies and bringing the world together. And literally, after I went through what I did and getting to know the more ins and outs of these organizations and the community and everything that was happening, I literally quit everything within 2 months of me hosting and bringing the World Championships to Calgary. I sold my studio.
Wow.
Which was huge, massive, 5,500 square foot facility, 3 classrooms. I had taught in 20 years, just in my database alone, that I had record of, I taught over 20,000 students. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to sit at the table. Even though this is the thing that I love the most in the whole world and my whole career and everything I've worked for since I was 8, I don't want to sit at the table with these people anymore. This is an abusive relationship that I didn't know I was in because it was the exact same relationship that I had with my family when I was younger. And it just was so familiar that it was less bad than being at home.
Yeah.
It got me out of my house and it gave me a way out and it gave me a career and it gave me something really positive to be proud of and structured.
Yes.
But at the same time, the amount of sexual assaults I went through, the amount of assaults I went through, the criticism nationally, internationally, the rumors, it's been an experience and a journey. I'm sure I've made a lot of mistakes along the way because when you're in that environment and you're growing your business and you're constantly expanding and you're constantly politically moving up. And the only reason I wanted to politically move up, there was no females.
I was just going to say, mention your gender because
I was the first and youngest president of Team Canada ever.
That's huge because there weren't a lot of female role models in martial arts. We're about the same age growing up. And I remember even when I was a martial, not a black belt yet, but I was definitely a senpai.
Right? Yeah.
An assistant. So about brown belt. A lot of the younger girls, they would look up to me because there wasn't any other female role model. So that's what I want to ask is how much did your gender play a role in all of this and the positives and the negatives?
Well, we could go a little bit into the spiritual part too. And I think why my body has fought against me for as long as ever since I was little, I hated being a girl. I absolutely hated it because any time that I was in a situation where gender played a role, I was treated poorly. I was disrespected. I was hurt. I was injured. I was assaulted. I was put down. I was belittled. I was physically injured. So being a female meant punishment and suffering. So I tried to embody a more masculine energy, but that's like, it became kind of toxic masculine.
Yep.
Like I
hear you.
I was super determined and hyper focused and very controlled and very controlling. And I mean, I had an eating disorder as well. So that didn't help.
I hear you.
Yep. But I mean, I was also told that I would never be successful unless I competed at 120 pounds and I'm 5'10". Like that is not okay.
No, that is not okay. I'm only 5'3", and it's really hard for me to be 120. Like I competed in bodybuilding. I was like, the lowest I could get was 119. It was, and amenorrhea, which is cessation of your period. It was, I'm like, that's not healthy.
No, it wasn't. And it creates all kinds of things. Like I had severe endometriosis, adenomyosis.
Wow.
I literally had a surgery just a few years ago where I had stage 1 cancer. I had a tumor, a massive tumor. And so
your body has been through
my body's been revolting.
It's trying to tell you lots. Yeah.
It's like, screw you, Maeghen. Like, can you actually love us? Can you actually accept being a girl? Can you actually come from a more feminine place? And I mean, as much as I look like a girl, because that gave me power and confidence, looking a certain way and being a certain way.
Correct.
I never, ever fit in. I've never fit in. I still don't fit in. And that's all I ever wanted to do because I thought I'd find some safety and some acceptance.
Right.
If I did fit in.
Yes.
So I think there was times when like having that masculine energy and trying to push forward in my business and trying to push forward in politics.
Yes.
Like for good intent to make changes, which I did.
Yes.
Like I brought opportunities to the martial arts community. I mean, it still didn't work out the way that I thought.
Yeah.
And so literally it came to a head last year when I did everything that I was supposed to accomplish as far as this woman told me that I was able to accomplish.
Which I want to just also acknowledge you, like, you basically blew up your life.
Yeah, I burned everything to the ground.
All of this, like that's first of all, I would say probably one of the hardest things you've probably ever done.
I thought I was like complete career suicide. I thought that it was like, I didn't actually know what I was going to do after.
The courage it took you to make that decision and then do it. Like, wow.
I just, when you're just done, it was like time
stopped. It's like the expiration date was back there.
Yeah, like there was a moment at the World Championships where there was like thousands of athletes running around and coaches and like all these rings going, and it was so insane, and Tourism Calgary was there and the media was there, and it was like so beautiful and such a cool experience.
Yeah.
But I felt like it felt painful. Even though I was running it really well.
Yes.
So, when like in movies, when time stops and like everybody freezes around you, but you don't freeze.
Yes. Yeah.
So I had a moment where that happened. I was like right in the center of the rec center and everything stopped and I stopped. And I was like, oh my God, this is not what I thought it was. And this is not what I wanted. And I won't make it. Like my nervous system will completely shut down. Like I will make myself sick. Like I'm not going to make it. I'm not in alignment. This is not what my soul wants. I don't want to be in this community if I have to behave like this and I have to be part of these politics and align with these people that I don't have alignment with. I don't believe in the same things that they believe in. Our value systems are totally different. And so like I wish them well, but it's not anything that I want to be aligned with at all. And right after that, it took me about 2 weeks. And I was like, I never want to do this again. Like, wow. But I was so scared because I was like, my whole life, now I'm going to burn it to the ground. Yeah. So I literally sold my studio that I loved and built from the ground up since I was like I started running a studio at 16. Yeah. And then I, left my association.
Were you also being able to channel like what your next steps were?
No.
I'm really curious about that.
So the funny part was I was able to channel and I was calm about doing this.
Yes.
Like nothing else felt good except for like taking my ball and going home. Like literally that's what it was like, is I was like playing a basketball game that I thought I really wanted to be part of. And then all of a sudden I stopped and I was like, I'm going to take my ball and go home.
Yeah.
But then after that, like the grieving of everything, it's like leaving an abusive relationship. Yes. So like I spent a lot of time very depressed, very anxious, crying a lot, trying to figure things out. But now that I've been out of the situation and I've had time to reflect and I've seen it differently, I'm like, and then I didn't know if I wanted to go back into the community. So like I've dabbled in a few things. Like I've been working on contracts, since, like little kind of contracts. It's been really nice, like some business consulting and some teaching and some private lessons and some private clients. And I mean, like I've been a psychic channeler, so I've done readings and things like that for people, which has been really beautiful. But now that I know what I want to be part of, it's very interesting. So there was another association that approached me that I'd worked with kind of on and off for about 20 years. So sometimes associations will come together and work together, which I think is awesome. Collaboration is beautiful. And they had left the same association that I had left.
Oh, wow.
For the same reasons as me, but had never said anything. Like I didn't really say anything publicly, and I never said anything negative. And so they approached me and they're like, hey, we're really interested. Would you come on board with us and would you represent Canada? And I said, like, I don't know if this is something I want to get back into. I really don't have any trust anymore. I have no faith in like this environment, this community. I don't know if I can do a good job.
You're feeling really cautious at this point.
I'm cautious. I'm burnt out. I don't know who I want to work with and who I don't. And they said, listen, we have no expectations of you. We know your work ethic. We've seen you as a fighter. Like, I've known them for a long time. They've watched a lot of my career. They've been very involved in my career. And they're like, let's just get you to our World Games in the Czech Republic. You can see for yourself and decide. And like, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. We're just really, really happy to have you there. Come. I went to this World Games.
So you chose to go.
I chose to go. And I said, like, I'll make up my mind kind of like what I want to do in the future and how I, want to represent things. What was
that thing to get you go, okay, I will give this a chance?
So when I started Team Canada, I started it as a provincial and federal not-for-profit. I wanted to be a board. I wanted to give back to charities and communities. I wanted there to be a lot of charity and community work, a lot of advocacy. I wanted to bring more opportunities to Canada and Western Canada, safe and fair weight classes for females. Like there was a lot of work I wanted to do. But the association that I was part of, I didn't realize that they were a sole proprietor for profit. So there was no accountability. There was no transparency. There was no board. They can never be unelected. So they can kind of do whatever they want at all times.
Okay.
And for me, like that's okay for them.
Yeah.
But for me, it wasn't something I really, like it's not something I wanted to be part of.
Yes.
And there was so many positive changes I wanted to make that they were kiboshing. This association, this new one that I found out about, they're not new. They've been around for a long time, but new for me.
Right.
I'd worked with people involved in it, but I hadn't, like I've only done a couple of their events.
Right.
They are a not-for-profit. They follow a proper charter. They are fully transparent. They're all about safety and professionalism for the athletes. They have no tolerance policies. Even their division fees are a third of what other organizations are. They're very welcoming. They have safe and fair weight classes, criminal background checks. Like they give a lot back to the community.
So all the values was check.
I was like, wait a minute, did you just do what I've been trying to do, but now I don't have to do the work? Like you guys have already done it? Like this is rad.
That is amazing.
This is so rad. And I walked in and there was like other females. They were super welcoming. The men treated me for my experience and my education and nothing else.
Yes.
I worked with referees that were properly trained, that didn't have any egos. All the coaches that were part of this, like understood respect, the competitor, like we weren't calling the medics because the competitors were following the rules.
Wow.
Like the referees were doing such a good job controlling the matches. There was no screaming matches. There was no excessive contact. There was no politics.
Like the art was there because the safety and the rules created the safety.
Yeah.
The container.
And they had brought more athletes than the other associations that have been around that I'd worked with for my whole career. And I kept waiting for something bad to happen. Do you know when you have like the trauma anticipation, the PTSD? Yeah. So like the whole time I was so stiff. Like I didn't realize how stiff I was until after the fact. And I was like, why is my back and shoulders everything hurt? Why am I exhausted?
It makes sense. Your body remembers.
I was waiting to like have something bad happen and to be disrespected or be hurt or be scared to walk to my hotel room.
Sure.
Or like not have my expenses taken care of or be disrespected as a referee or to have to like stand in front of coaches so they wouldn't fist fight another coach. Like the stuff that I had seen and been through were absolute insanity. Right. And it's actually common. So nobody says anything because it's normal. But at this association, this World Games, like at the end of it, I'm like, nothing bad happened. It was really fun and really nice. And like I got along with everyone really well and I felt really respected and the competition was really high level and like there was so much more opportunity for the athletes and they were like very well taken care of and their safety was like of the utmost priority. And Like the transparency is amazing. Like it's a
Wow.
full board, and we all had
Wow.
meetings to make sure that everyone was getting treated the way that they wanted and for all the right initiatives to be
Yeah.
activated. I'm like,
Amazing.
this is collaboration. I was like, nobody is in this for themselves. They all just care about the
Beautiful.
sport.
It's win-win-win.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
It was super cool. So then I decided, okay, I really want to be part of this association. I'm lucky that they want me being part of it. I'm very grateful. And so I just went to the World Cup in Austria.
Yes.
And it was huge. Like, for example, there's full contact in this as well. There was 200 back-to-back full contact fights
Wow.
in one day alone, not including all the mat sport. There was like over 2,200 division starts. Like, it was insane. 31 countries.
Wow.
And like no ambulances, like
Wow.
the medics in the full contact ring. Like, I think there was a broken nose, bloody nose, but like full doctors present. Like, everything was so well run.
Yes.
It was like a joy to watch our sport flourish and for everyone to have so much fun. And like, there was no arbitrations.
Wow.
Like,
So you're probably like, this is unheard of.
yeah,
In all your years.
it's been unheard of. And now I'm like, I just want to see more positivity happen. And the fact that they want me part of it, like, I feel super, super lucky. So I'm great.
Wow.
And
That's
I'd like
alignment,
to,
'cause you had to release, like, and I think, martial arts
terrified.
or not, it's like oftentimes, and I can go back to being a psychologist, having a very successful practice, loved being a psychologist, but I felt like I was in a box, and I like to color outside of lines, which I told Megan that.
Even my tattoos are colored outside
Oh
the
my
lines
God,
on
I love
purpose.
it. Of course it is.
I was like, don't
have
be
a
in the
lotus
line.
tattoo, and it's like, oh, it's kind of like that too.
I was like, don't put it in the
Oh my
lines. That's
gosh,
ridiculous.
I love it. But there we go. Another similarity. But it's like sometimes the hardest decisions are the ones where we have to make where it's like, well, this has been working for me in so many ways. But then underneath, behind, in the back scene or deep inside, it's like, but it's not aligned. It actually isn't working for you. And it's like time to let go. Whether that's even in a relationship, not just career or something like a passion with yours. And I think it's like fear is what keeps us staying in these relationships too long. And so when we finally make that decision, holy moly, how much lighter do you feel? Right? Yes, there's a lot of
so much grief and sadness that comes around
absolutely,
it.
and that's normal.
Yeah.
Right? It's
I think
normal.
we forget
need
to
release
share
that.
how painful it is when we make those decisions. But then
they're
once
so painful.
it's like I've been calling it like a tumor. It's like, but it's just an emotional, spiritual, mental tumor instead of a physical one. But it's like, you
Affects your physical
identify-
though. Affects your physical.
But it's kind of
Yeah.
interesting. It's like, if you think of like a relationship or a career
Yep.
as like something not good, at first you feel a symptom.
Yeah.
And so you're like, you're not sure what it is. And like, you have intuition, but you're not sure if you like are recognizing it. So you go to like other professionals to try to figure out what it is. Then you realize what it is. Well, it's painful and scary to go through surgery to remove that tumor and then to heal from it.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
But then when it's done, you feel like a superhuman. I don't think it's any different when it comes to,
because it's like now you're on the other side, but it is messy. It is messy,
It's
and
messy.
that's and it's gotta be like, okay. I just did a TEDx, and my title of that TEDx talk is "How Great Leaders Invite Uncertainty."
that's awesome.
Yes,
I'm going to think about that today because that's really, really cool. Like, that is something I like. I love when other people say such brilliant things in a perspective that I wouldn't have thought of. And that's something that
because that's what's happening. We invite uncertainty.
I want to keep getting more comfortable in that. Yeah, that's like
Yeah.
going to be my thing for the day.
I love it. I love it. Right. And then it's like, yeah, it can be messy, but like when you look back, you just keep going. You just keep going to what is and really cultivating what is really aligned, right? And that's what you did. And like then you found this energetic match of exactly what you had been visioning all along. It's like, this exists and I didn't have to actually manually create it. It's already there and I'm just gonna step right in. That's
I had like a massive
incredible
happy cry, like when I went to the World Games in Czech Republic and got to be part of this for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, I was so cautious, but like the board and the world president, the vice president, like, they didn't put any pressure on me. They're like, Maeghen, we're really happy that you're
Wow.
here. So like,
Wow.
whatever you decide, we don't mind, but you're still like an awesome martial artist, an awesome friend. Like, just, we want you to feel comfortable. I like sat in my hotel room and bawled my eyes out and was
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
what just happened here?
beautiful.
Like I never even knew it was possible. And then when you forge through trying to create something for so long, like it was when I gave up.
Yes.
Totally surrendered and was like, I don't want to feel like shit anymore.
Yes.
That all of a sudden, like, I think these opportunities are starting to come into it.
Absolutely.
But the change that you go through
is,
like, I'm not the same girl I was a year ago. Like, I don't even know who she is.
Like, wow.
I don't know who she is. I can't even
because
think.
you've completely transformed. I want to actually just recap this for the audience because the steps you took, right? So I like to be very tangible as well. So the first thing you had to do was be aware that this is no longer aligned for you. And then make the decision to move on. Surrender. I think surrender is underrated. Like surrender is huge. It's like, okay, let God.
People think it's failure, but it's not failure.
Yes.
It's a choice.
Yes.
Like you're actually in control when you surrender.
Absolutely. And it's the most beautiful process when you just surrender. And this is where we trust, right? Let go, let God, or let universe, let higher power, let higher self. And when we do, that's when alignment starts to come. But we can't if we're blocking ourselves and we're staying stuck because we're not making that decision to let this go. We cannot bring more in if we don't release what no longer serves. And that's so huge. I just want to say, like, you are the testimony of like that process is so huge.
Oh, I don't know. Huge. I'm just trying to survive. I'm like, I love your honesty. Doing good today. Like, I
love your honesty.
It's been a roller coaster, and I don't know if I'm doing okay.
After how many? And that's okay then to not be okay, right? Like that's the truth. Like, it's here. Like it's okay. I love that you're being so real.
I don't really have a choice anymore. Like I feel like I kind of tried to present a lot of like perfectionism and keeping it together and like having everything be so awesome to the world. Like, I mean, even on my social media, like there is honesty on my social media, but I don't share like all the ick stuff, right? Like there's a lot of things that like I feel ick about. Like I feel like even my ADHD, like I feel ashamed that I can't focus. I still feel like I made mistakes, you know, not leaving certain situations fast enough or not knowing, you know, what I know now and being able to do any better. Like there's days when I'm super sad. There's days I miss people I worked with. There's days that I miss certain people that I used to be in associations with or that I, you know, had teaching for me or students that I had. Like there's a lot of things that I miss. And the amount sometimes, like, it feels like I'm on, you know, like Tarzan when he has like the swinging rope and you actually have to grab the rope and then you have to be so scared to jump off the cliff and go to the other side. I feel like I'm on like this swing part and I'm so scared to go to the other side because I know I can't go back. But yet there's like still little things that I feel attached to. So I'm forcing myself to do it. But like
it's been 36 years. But you're like, and it's about, I love the concepts of mindsight, being able to, it's kind of like hindsight, look 2020, but mindsight is taking the lessons and then applying them into moving forward. And I honestly love that you're so real and raw. I'm just going, I don't know if I'm okay, because this is what feels like. That's a beautiful metaphor that you just painted, because I think a lot of us can really resonate with that metaphor, whether that's something that we've gone through. I have been there for sure. Or are currently going through. And so how do you manage and navigate?
I'm scared a lot. I'm not gonna lie. Like I have a lot of anxiety. I'm scared a lot. But I try not. So here's a thing. And a lot of like my students knew this. So I competed for a long time since I was 8. And I used to throw up repeatedly before I competed. And that didn't matter if it was a local tournament or an international tournament. Didn't matter. And it was like, until I stopped competing. I still puked and my students would laugh at me because like I'd go to competitions and I'd be coaching them, but I'd also be competing. They're like, how many times do you throw up? I'm like, just once. They're like, 2 more times, you should be fine. And I was like okay. They knew my routine. And so what I had to start to develop was, it was so cool because I had this coach from Team Wales and he knew that I'd get sick before my fights. He was such a nice guy. And he goes, Maeghen, you know what I tell my students? I said, what? He goes, you know those butterflies that you get when you throw up? I said, yeah. He goes, turn them into dragons.
Ooh.
And I was like, what? And he goes, the same energy that you feel in fear is just adrenaline.
Yeah.
So you can choose to be afraid on the roller coaster, or you can choose to have like the best, most funnest, like coolest experience.
Yes.
He's like, you get to decide whether that fear is lucky and is fuel and is powerful, or whether it's a detriment to you. And I was like,
what a powerful reframe.
Oh, it like changed my perspective.
Yes.
And I didn't even learn this till I was 36 years old.
That's
so it was like a long time.
incredible.
It was a long time. And so it was like a really, really powerful thing. So now when I get really, really, really afraid, which is often, I sit down with myself just for like 30 seconds and I'm like, what do I want more? To sit here and be afraid, or to actually do it? Yeah. And then I'll actually like send the email, do the podcast, teach the class, you know, like do the interview.
Yes.
Because I'd rather, like, if the fear is there anyway, I'd rather just do it.
Yes, channel it into purpose, right? Yeah, I get it too. Like I just transitioned in my career a year and a half ago and put myself in rooms. I went from working with healers, light workers, spiritual coaches in client attraction, soulful selling for the last 4.5 years. And then Spirit was like, okay, it's time to go to the corporate world and help them more on raising the level of consciousness, bringing more, they're spiritually hungry over there. I know you know. And so
there's a lot of people I think right now that have done all the things that they thought were the right things to do and don't know why they don't feel good.
Yes. They're not feeling fulfilled and probably like our former version of ourselves, achieve, but not feel fulfilled.
Yeah. Or be like wildly successful. Like the corporates that I've worked with.
Correct.
They're wildly successful, like so successful in every area of their life. And they're depressed and anxious. Yes. They have suicidal ideations. Yes. They are messing up all of their relationships. Yes. They're causing issues with their kids and their wives or their partners or their husbands. And they don't know where it comes from because they're like, I did everything right.
Yes.
Why?
Yes.
Why? Why am I not happy?
That was my story back in 2008.
Why am I not happy? It's the same thing as like I'm standing in the middle of World Championships. I'm like, why does everything feel
looks perfect
gross?
on the outside?
I'm like,
and yet
doing it.
Inside, it's not matching. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, why do I want to cry? Why am I having panic attacks? Like, why am I not sleeping? Yes. Why am I having cortisol dumps at 3 a.m? Like, why is this happening if I'm living out my dream and doing everything I was supposed to do and everything that was supposed to make me happy? Like, I've achieved it. I'm good.
Supposed to, right?
Supposed to.
But that's based on a belief system, which is in our unconscious mind. And so when we shift that, on that belief in the unconscious, and usually we can't work in our own unconscious. It helps to have a professional, right? But it's like that's when it's like, oh, the awareness is there. It's like, oh, the blind spots, right?
Oh yeah,
really, really opening up those blind spots because we all have them, and so it's like, wow. As soon as those blind spots open up, it's like, oh, and it's like, wow.
Some of them you're like not like totally proud of. Like you got to really check yourself. Like there's been some blind spots where I'm like,
sure, yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize I felt ashamed about something, or that I was covering something up because I was insecure.
Yeah.
Or like this was a huge vulnerability for me. And but those blind spots make a huge difference.
Yes. Well, we choose our discomfort, right? It's either we continue going the way we are going and it's been affecting our health and our relationships and our wealth, or we choose the uncomfortable, which is getting out of our comfort zone, what we know, and moving into knowing like there's like I'm a shamanic practitioner, so it's always about embracing the mystery, right? Embracing the mystery and what into the unknown and leaning into the triggers, leaning into our shadow selves, because that's where the magic really is once we work through that. And so, yeah, I'm just really excited for you, you know, as even you're doing it scared. And it transforms as you actually take that action, I imagine. It's that competence and confidence loop. It's like that infinity sign. The more you do it, the more competent you feel. And then the more confidence you have, the more competent you feel. You just keep that infinity loop going.
I feel like I lost everything and burned everything to the ground. So I feel like I just don't have anything to lose anymore. Which is so like interesting. I was like, what are you going to do? Take my business away? Like, what are you going to do? Like, tell me I can't work in this association? Like, tell me I can't compete anymore? Like, okay. Like, whatever, go ahead. Like, what are you going to do? Like, there's nothing that I'm afraid really of losing anymore.
Incredible.
And it comes from like navigating those really painful things. It's like,
Yes.
it's like when you leave something and people don't agree with you or you stand up for
Yes.
yourself, you know, people will share negative things about you and tell stories and rumors.
Of course, people are going to always judge.
But yet I'm like, but if they're doing it anyway, like I have nothing to lose by just telling the truth and having chats and figuring things out and trying to navigate the best that I can. And if I make a mistake, like I will say sorry, obviously, or try to make amends or have accountability. But other than that, I'm like, what, like I don't have anything to lose.
Yeah. I think that's really powerful right there. It's like you already have burned things to the ground. And it's just like, I got me. No one can take you, who you are, away from you.
All the worst things have happened to me and I'm doing just fine.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. You're so freaking resilient. We talk lots about resiliency in flourishing.
I don't want to be resilient anymore.
You don't?
No, done with it. Done with being resilient. No thanks.
What do you mean by
Can
that?
I just have some gentle for a while? Some gentleness for a while? Some loveliness?
You can be,
a nice little
but
nest.
resilient doesn't mean pushing your way through things. Resilience is really about, wow, like just exactly what you shared. You were actually embodied resilience because it's like you've been through all this shit and you're here and you get to do it in the way that feels more aligned with you, which is the gentleness, the softness. So like why I was so hard was because my belief I was unconsciously operating from is I'm valued in my doingness rather than my beingness, and my doingness was never enough. So I was this overachiever, perfectionist, like no pain, no gain, toxic masculinity. And now on the outside, it probably looks the same in terms of my high achieving, you know, the successes I have and all the things I accomplish. However, and even I love to take care of my body. I got into bodybuilding, and it's like, but I was doing it from a place of like my value, my doingness, right? And not having a lot of confidence, but not a lot of self-worth. And now it's coming from a place of like, I love myself, I have lots of self-worth. And yeah, it's like, what more is possible for me and this world? What more impacts can I, right? And so the resiliency comes in not like the actions. I would say it's more about that mindset and where our like that we see ourselves in. Yeah, I did this. I made it through all this.
I was never
stuff.
proud of my achievements. I don't know if you went through things where you're just like forcing your achievements so much and moving forward so much, and like that was our like
it
my
felt like the
thoughts
automation.
I won't put words in your mouth, but yeah, like I didn't have self-worth. My self-worth was achievement, and it was never good enough.
Yeah, I felt like it was playing a game you can never win.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, what's next?
And I was never ever proud of myself.
Yeah,
I was never proud of what I did. I was never proud of what I accomplished. Like only in the last, I would say 2 months, I've been like, oh my God, I did that.
Yeah.
Like, that's really cool.
You have
I was like,
pretty impressive, like, resume. So
I was like, oh.
Wow.
I was like, I totally did that.
So I hope that part of this journey is that you're celebrating yourself now.
I'm just realizing that it wasn't normal what I did. But I don't want to achieve for that intent anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to do it to be good enough or to get approval or to finally be worthy or to be like to have the right credentials. But I did that for self-worth, but I also did it for safety.
Yes,
I never wanted anyone to tell me that I wasn't good enough or didn't have the right credentials or wasn't educated enough or couldn't speak out about things or couldn't be in these positions or couldn't be hired or had no value teaching or worth teaching or any of those things.
Yes.
But then I also realized that I was being a shitty role model. That broke my heart is when I had little female students that I noticed were starting to emulate things. And I was like, why are you doing that? Like, that's not what I want you to do. Like, that's not healthy for you. And they're like, but that's what you do. They were overtraining because I was overtraining. They were watching me cut calories, not knowing I was doing it in front of them. So they were starting to. Like there was a lot of that they were pushing forward. They thought they had to get all these achievements. They thought this was their worth. And I'm like, oh no, this is like exactly what I didn't want to do. Like that made me feel pretty ashamed. Is because everything I thought that I was doing to be better or like to be a good role model actually turned out to be like showing someone how to abuse themselves.
Well, the beautiful thing is you are now sharing this message and sharing it today. And this is going to go out to hundreds and thousands of people.
Yay!
So, and that's a powerful message. I think that it's definitely a theme I see a lot. You know, I see it within myself and I see it within, and remembering that everybody is accountable for themselves. So we're all teachers for each other and we're all mirrors for each other in like positive ways and ways for opportunities of growth is how I like to see it, right? And so, like, thank you. I think that you are incredible, just incredibly real. I think that it's refreshing to have somebody not act like they have it all together in this process, because that's the realness of it. It's like you're journeying, and we always are, right? We're always ever evolving. And then we get to this place of like, whenever I ask myself, who am I? Who am I really? I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that's good. I'm letting go of more ego. I'm just like laying myself, who am I really? Why am I here? What's my purpose? And just staying in that curiosity, in that philosophical place. I think it's a beautiful.
It does. It's so strange though, because like you think that you've gotten older and learned a few things.
Yeah. The more you know, the less you know. That's like seriously
and
the
then
thing.
it literally comes down to like how I feel in kindergarten.
Yeah.
Like, Maeghen, what do I want to eat today? How do I want to feel? What do I want to wear? What do I want to talk about? It's the basics.
Simplicity is so nice.
Even
it's
the communication.
So nice.
Like, do you want to hang out with me? Like, I think you're really cool.
Yeah.
I like your shirt.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of more of the person
I
want
it.
to, like, I feel like wearing something soft today.
Yeah.
I might want to wear a tutu. Like, I might want to do my hair like this today. But I used to, I would say, decorate and put myself in a position where I was like, how do I feel most powerful today? How will I be perceived the best today, and have it like perceived as having it all together, being so professional, looking like, you know, I'm the right person for all of these things, instead of going, how do I want to feel?
Yeah.
Still learning how I want to feel.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being here on our podcast today. I would like to know, how can our audience connect more with you?
So I have a really beautiful website I'm really proud of called Beyond the Black Belts. So beyondtheblackbelts.com. You'll be able to find all my information on that, as well as I'm on social media under Ninja Girl MMA or under Beyond the Black Belts as well.
Amazing.
And then you can also find me at Healing Elements Coaching.
Thank you so much, Maeghen, for being here. I so appreciate you. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our Flourishing podcast here. I'm Rosalind Fung. You can find me at rosalindfung.com. And please also check out flourishingworkplace.com and certifiedflourishingcoaching.com. Thank you. And we'd love to hear what your takeaways are in the comments below.